you have you're the leader with regards to Afrewa Royal Homes.
That's right.
And to be quite honest, I'm so excited because I want to be a bit sexist tonight, in the sense that we don't have a lot of women pioneering real estate. Not that many. So it's a good thing, and I must congratulate you.
Well, thank you very much.
So right. So how did the journey start with regards to Afrewa Royal Homes or Afrewa uh, Estates and Construction Limited?
Right. I must tell you that it's a family-run business. The founder is actually Nana Owusu-Afari, who happens to be my father.
Okay.
So he set up the business, and I have inherited the opportunity to take it to the next level, as it were. So
Right.
it's a family-run business. It was set up in 2006, and
Oh
I have
wow.
the humble pleasure of managing the company as the managing director and to take us to the next level, as it were, by the grace of God.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. So you've been in business for 12 years, so that credibility is there.
That's right. It's
Wonderful.
actually a brand that was established about 40 years ago, and it
40
was
years.
originally, that's right, it was originally set up as a poultry farm. We were the second largest poultry farm in Ghana.
Okay.
So we owned the land. The business has evolved, and we've now turned the land for use as real estate.
Oh wow. That's a brilliant move. A great move, and I think that's super. Right. So, talking about your project at Community 2 in Tema, uh,
Two,
we
22.
Community 22.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got it right. Now, I'm very much aware that is just so close to the end of the Tema motorway.
That's correct.
That's the location. So I'm trying to get my facts right. Then we can move right. And also, we very much let me because the text when we send the broadcast out, one of the texts that came back to me was in terms of we know you're dealing with real estate like the properties building, but
Mhm.
with regards to land, what is the situation of land litigation in Ghana?
Right. In terms of acquiring land, Ghana is actually a very interesting place, and there's various ways of acquiring land.
Okay.
Depending on the area where one would wish to acquire land, it could be either municipal owned land, like in Tema, where to acquire the lands are originally um, held by Tema Development Corporation, known as TDC.
Okay.
So they grant a lease. And so anybody who acquires land in Tema
Yes.
then acquires a sublease. So TDC, for example, is the master leaseholder, and we all acquire the land as a leasehold land.
Okay.
There are also other ways of acquiring land in the Greater Accra region
Right.
specifically.
Okay.
There are freehold lands, and depending on the previous owner of the land, you may be able to acquire freehold land. The
Right.
other way of acquiring land as well is land that are stool lands. Stool land means that they tend to belong to chiefs of traditional areas,
Mm.
or a big family may own the land, and you may need to approach the traditional elder of the family who represents or is in charge of dealing with the land sale. So it can be quite interesting depending on where the location of the land is and
Okay.
how one intends to acquire that. We have had the unfortunate history, as it were, of
Okay.
people acquiring land and not doing the due diligence regarding the ownership of the land. And
Yes.
so, if you are not careful, you may acquire land by dealing or transacting the business with somebody purporting to be the owner who may not be the real or authorized representative of the land.
Okay.
And so you may pass money to that person only to find out you should have dealt with somebody else. So in terms of acquiring stool lands, to avoid litigation, it is
Yes.
actually advisable to do a prior search before trying to pass money over. If you're not familiar with land acquisition processes in Ghana,
Yeah.
then the best option is to seek legal advice, get a property lawyer who can advise on the conveyancing nature of land acquisition in whichever area one would choose to invest in.
Brilliant. I think you've answered every single from every single angle that I was gonna step in.
Yeah, I mean,
So
As long as
Niyi,
that makes sense to you and your listeners.
brilliant.
so yeah, thank you very much. That really sum up the whole process of buying land, and I'm impressed actually because a lot of African countries now are making it easier to be able to buy land. Now, my question is, so if anybody wants to buy land in Ghana, because I mean we have a lot of listeners from Nigeria all over the place, should they have a free mind now to say, okay, I want to go to Ghana and buy land? Is it are they happy? Are they with a free mind now to go, nothing to worry about before?
Yeah.
I mean, to buy land in Ghana now, from what you've explained.
Well, we are trying to improve the conveyancing nature of land acquisition in Ghana.
Right.
I can only speak with a little bit of authority regarding acquisition of land within the Greater Accra region. I'm not an expert on acquiring land in maybe Kumasi or the northern region.
Right.
Now, for any non-resident or foreigner wishing to acquire land, I would say that it's very important to establish a relationship with a local person who is reputable, or to make prior inquiries at the local lands commission, as it were, which is located in Accra.
Yeah.
If in doubt, we also have an association called the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, also based in Accra. They have a website. You can do a search and approach them and do your prior due diligence regarding whichever area you might want to invest in.
Yeah.
By all means, there is land available for purchase, but you need to make sure you've done your due diligence before you pass money to anybody purporting to be the owner of any land. And so if you were not able to go to the Lands Commission, then I would suggest that if you found somebody who purported to be an owner of land, you should ask them to show you their documents.
Exactly.
An indenture or any land registry document, a yellow card or full land title, which would be the ideal perfect land title document to ask for. And then you would give that to a lawyer, or you would find out where your nearest land commission was, and then you would go there to ascertain the credibility or the validity or the legality of the ownership of the documents you might be holding in your hand. So they don't need to give the original document.
Yes.
A copy should be good enough for you to submit to do a search to find out if there's any interest registered on the land, or if it is free for you to purchase. The lands commissions have gone through some series of improvements, including an effort to get digitalized to make searches which customers might want to do easier. So we've come a long way, I think.
Yes, and that's spot on. I believe that our listeners will be falling in love with you and Afrewa Real Estate Limited, construction limited, because you're very, very spot on, as in when it comes to information, and your knowledge is on. It cannot be compared. So
Thank you very much. We do get calls from potential clients from all over the world globally. They may visit our website, they might call us, they might send an email,
yes,
ask because they don't want to get into this double litigation or double ownership issues. And it's a little bit scary because we do appreciate that the land value might be quite high. So for your hard-earned pounds or dollar or euro
yes,
to come to Ghana and to fall into the wrong hands, it's very, very scary. So anytime I get the opportunity, I like to advise that ideally They make searches on the company even, go onto the website, see whether they are registered with reputable affiliated associations like
Association.
Grader
Yes.
or the Association of Ghana Industries. There's ways of searching and finding out that you're dealing with, trustworthy companies or individuals before you part your hard-earned cash for land.
Exactly.
Great,
And I was
great.
gonna ask about security, which you've nailed it as well. You've talked about security in terms of hard-earned cash, and people's fingers have been burnt already, so it's a good thing. Now, quickly, I don't want us to keep you. I know you've had a very long day, but quickly, in terms of quality, because we know that a lot of people in the diaspora, um, they have a mindset to think that when it comes to real estate,
building, yeah.
the quality standards are not good enough. What do you have to say to that, please?
I think some of it goes back to what I said at the beginning. Who are you dealing with? Who are you buying from? Is it a company? Is it a private individual who's told you they have land in a certain area of the city?
Yeah.
So if it's from a company, you want them to show you maybe prior work they've done before so that you can inspect the property. If it's dealings that you have had with a person over the net, Skype, whatever, and they show you pictures, you can get a local representative to go search, verify the standards of works that they are asking you to expect of them.
Yes.
If it is the situation that you are able to come and inspect yourself before you finalize any sale agreement with the person as well, you should do so. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Grader, which is the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association,
Yes.
is an organization where reputable companies are encouraged to register so that if any customer or a client were to approach them firsthand as part of their due diligence, they can ask Grader to lead them or give an opinion regarding the kind of works they should expect. But ideally, before you buy, it is extremely important as much as possible to lay sight yourself of the site where you're being led to. If you don't have a local representative, I think it might be worth spending maybe £600 to come and view it for yourself before you part 50 to 70 to 100,000 pounds, as I said.
Exactly.
Where if it's that important, you should check it. Now, as far as I know, almost all the companies that are registered with the Grader, as it were, are companies that have been around for a very long time. We've got the likes of Reggie Manuel, Def Traco, MFs, lots more companies who are doing sterling work.
Yeah.
And so I think the quality standards have improved over time. That is not to argue to say that people haven't had experiences where shoddy work has been done.
Yes.
I would like to suggest that it's very important that if you enter into an agreement to purchase a house from a developer, for them to, if you are abroad, for them to send you videos of the works being done at various stages before completion. Now, on notice of completion as well, before you part, if you haven't paid fully for it, you should try to get somebody to inspect it for you. You should also check your sale agreement clause to see whether there's any warranties being offered on structural defects for a period after completion. That is normal in most contracts, so I would be extremely cautious to part money over without entering some sort of formal documentation.
Exactly.
Because you might want to argue that some of these defects aren't visible to the naked eye until you've taken over possession of the property. And I think you might have the same cases in the UK as well, and you would have recourse to the developer being able to offer you some warranty. I would also edge on the side of caution, depending on what kind of property you're buying and what state it is at before you enter into a contract to conduct business with the developer. You should be able to check and ask them what materials they're going to use. You should also question the duration of build for the project. I would be extremely hesitant to advise you to enter into a contract with someone who shows you bare land and tells you they are able to construct for you within a period of 2 months. So I
That's
think
true.
you need to probably calm down, not get too excited if something sounds too good to be
Too
true.
good to
I
be true.
suggest you take a step back, double check everything, and check the legality of the contract before you pass any money to the developer.
That that, that's brilliant. You were gonna ask a
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
gonna,
go on. No, go
I'm
on.
gonna go
Nate.
into. I mean, you've explained it a lot. I mean, simple time and very clear, and I know a lot of people listening to us now. They know that what to do before they rush and buy land or property in Ghana. Now, I know a lot of people in abroad. I mean, in diaspora, as we call them. We are all looking to, put something back home, as we say. And I mean, whatever we put back home, that helps the economy as well. But my question is that, do you work with mortgage companies? I mean, what are the ways where people can acquire properties within your development without really putting down 100% of all the money?
Well, I'm very pleased you asked that question because a lot of the times you meet clients abroad and their expectation is that they have to save for 5 or 10 or 12 years to have all the money up front before they can come to Ghana to buy a property.
That's
That
true.
is not the case. We have mortgage products being offered by some of the banks in Ghana. Two of them come to mind immediately, and these are the Republic Bank, formerly known as HFC Bank, and Ghana Home Loans Banks. These are financial institutions that are set up traditionally to offer a variety of mortgage products to both local and the diasporans, as it were. So you don't have to be resident in Ghana to apply for the mortgage. If you go to the website, you are able to find out how to apply for a mortgage. They'll give you advice on that. They're going to need proof of your earnings. They are also able to conduct a credit search on your history, your qualification criteria to make sure that you would be able to handle the burden of taking on a mortgage, because we appreciate that if you're not in Ghana, then your priority is going to be the residence where you're physically based.
Yeah.
So if it's the UK, you've got to sort out your mortgages there before you try to take on a second mortgage or a second home in Ghana. So they check your earnings to make sure that you would qualify for that. But having said that, they do work and they have fantastic products that some non-resident Ghanaians I know have been able to take advantage of.
Yeah.
So the mortgage market is also very ripe there, and it's a very trustworthy option to use. And just engage with them. Any questions that you have, they'll be able to sort you out. So if you are earning $1 or in pound, they would give you that currency as a mortgage. So it might not necessarily be a city mortgage, and the interest would also vary depending on the line of credit that is granted to you. So yes, mortgages are available and they do work, and it's up to you the length of period you wish to take it on for. Some of them might offer 5 years, 10 years, or 15, depending on the circumstances of the client. So I think we deal with it on a case-to-case basis. And if anybody feels free to contact them directly or us, we have very good relationships with them, and we'll be happy to pass them on for more detailed and financial advice.
Great.
Brilliant. And I think my co-host stepped ahead of me, which is fine. Brilliant. So now I'm not going to compare that. Last week we had a developer from Nigeria come in, and I think there's a revolution taking place in the real estate industry in Nigeria from this particular developer. And the combination of what he's put together is phenomenal. Now, he's using technology. And when we talked about quality, you mentioned about double checking and making sure you put in measures to monitor and get value for your money in terms of quality of the property. Now he's using technology, but I'm not too sure about Ghana, that in terms of technology, are we getting closer as to make sure that your clients like us, we get value for our money in terms of technology, because like this is the scenario he gave us. The scenario is that, let's say, a wall measuring 5 meters by 5, and it's supposed to have, let's say, a cement, the quantity of cement supposed to be used is, let's say, 5 bags. But then the contractor or the developer, or the contractor, subcontractor, decides to use, let's say, 2. Now he's got a gadget, equipment in place to be able to determine the quantity of the components that that's been put together to make up that wall. Are we looking at that, or do we have that in place in Ghana?
To be honest with you, I am not personally aware of that gadget. I am not surprised that it actually exists, even, or that he's using that.
Right.
In my firm, for example, I employ a team of contractors, and I have 4 men and site managers who double check all these things. It also comes down to the quality of cement you are using to start with, and the sandcrete components that you might use in the sand mixture. So I haven't had
that's fine.
haven't
Okay.
that patient to doubt the works that my workmen are doing. But we haven't really I haven't even heard of any fellow developer having issues with the quality, as it were. So that I can't comment too much on. Having
Okay.
said that, there's lots of technologies coming on in terms of the styles with which we raise the superstructures of the buildings. We're also looking as a country or moving forward to develop affordable housing by looking at the technology that's developed or used to raise the structures, because the block work and the cement that you used in raising the internal walls, for example, add up to the cost, and a lot of our workers cannot afford this. So we need to look at what we use for the internal structures, as it were, and ways to lower the price so that we can deliver good quality houses that are sustainable, will withhold the test of time, storms, any other natural increments that we should be able to have comfort in as homeowners. And so in terms of technology, yes, we have some that we're using. We're happy with the standards at which we are.
Great.
And who knows within a year's time what other technological devices would be available for us.
Wonderful.
I'm just going to jump in quickly now that we're talking of cost. Your company and the other developers in Africa, what are you doing in terms of reducing the cost of development? Because when you reduce the cost of development, you pass that on to buyers as well.
Client, yeah.
I'm talking more of maybe fabricated blocks, recycling materials for blocks as well. Moving away from the old ways of doing things now into the new things which is done globally in Europe as well. So what are you doing really in terms of that to make sure? Because you briefly mentioned social housing. I'm not sure whether you're into that as well. But what is the plan of your company in terms of making sure that the the cost of production is reduced especially for mass housing and people on lower income?
It's a very interesting question that you raised, because as a country, we are really in the middle of looking at this social housing. We have this whole affordable housing debate. Now, the interesting thing is that Greater Accra region, as it were, and Kumasi, for example, which is the second city, are very expensive places within which to develop or build houses. I believe it's the same with you guys in London, where your houses in Hampstead would be more expensive than maybe your average 3-bedroom houses in Watford. And the further you
That's
move
true.
from the city areas, the cheaper you get the houses for. We have the same situation here, whereas a lot of our workers work in the heart of the city. The heart of the city is extremely expensive to develop
yes.
and build houses in. Obviously, it would be our dream and desire that our workers would live there, but affordability is the issue. A lot of your medium exec or recent graduates would not be able to afford even a 1-bedroom structure in Accra. So in terms of bringing the prices down, to be honest with you, I will admit on behalf of other developers as well who are operating in the heart of the city within Accra Tema, that it is very hard to build houses where the prices are very, very low. Having said that, Ghana has a problem where we are approaching a housing deficit of over 1.5 million. And so we acknowledge that we need to look at ways to house the masses. My company, for one, is ready to look at how to move ahead to secure lands on the outskirts of the region where the land value is going to be a key factor in how it affects the final price of a house. We need to also deal with one key thing, which is about educating the public. We know that we are in Africa, but we also admit that we live in the global village where we see and aspire to have things that look like you guys own in the UK or the US.
Yeah.
The thing is settling it in our minds to know that what we desire might not be what we can afford. And
That's
so
true.
we need to change our taste and to be able to accept that to get onto the housing ladder, as it were, we don't need to save for 20 years to acquire one. So to get onto the housing ladder, if I were about 25 years and I wanted to acquire a house, I would be extremely interested in looking at if there were prefab houses on the market, or if there were other ways of raising cheaper structures with louver blades as windows instead of double glazed glass windows, which would raise the cost of the housing. So I think a very, very huge factor, which we need to see how we can change the taste of our youth, would be to ask them to lower their expectations in terms of what they expect their first house to have. You lower your expectation and you know that your first house should have lower standards in terms of your expectation, where it's not going to be glazed glass doors all over, and you're willing to accept a lot of wooden products. I think things like that would come down. Now, part of the reason why some of the prices cannot come down as far as we would want is because a lot of the inputs that we use to fabricate, apart from the blocks and the wood for the roofing and the land on which we build, a lot of our inputs are imported. And so if we can see how the government can enable our industries to rise, where we are manufacturing a lot of the things on the ground here, if we use labor and we are not paying for shipping costs, I think then the whole agenda or the topic about making sure that the social houses are affordable, I think we can deliver that in a few years. It's not going to be overnight. It's not an easy thing to solve.
Brilliant. There's so much to talk about, and to be quite honest, I believe you're very knowledgeable, and the information you're given tonight, I believe that our listeners are enjoying it. Now, the next question, which I can promise that I'm going to let you go very soon. The next question is going to be that, right? I've seen, just talking about affordable housing, and you talked about first time buyers, the youth, the young ones coming up, young professionals. Are we not thinking about flats where we can have 5-story, 6-story, 7, 10-story? Because I believe that will also cut costs, and also when it comes to making sure you're maximizing the land, making good use of it. Are we looking?
Absolutely.
Are we looking at that?
I think that we're going to see an influx of more high rises over the next 5 to 10 years.
Brilliant.
Traditionally, these type of builds have not been extremely popular with a lot of the people that live in the demographical areas that we are operating in. But I think that if you compare ourselves to places like Singapore, where land is so scarce, so you're looking at vertical cities in terms of the height of buildings that they put up. Within a short period of time, we're going to have to look at the way we address the needs of people in putting up high rises there. Interesting thing for me about this is, in Ghana, we like our fufu very much. And I think clients tend to be really, really wary of going to live in a very high buildings where I wonder, how am I going to eat my Sunday fufu? Do I have to come all the way down with my pens and mortar?
With that, I've got a straight answer for them, which I think is not a marketing strategy, but basically time has moved on, and so we lot here we still eat the fufu and all those stuff. So we they have to the mindset has to change on that. And
Absolutely. I think that is key. We need to change the mindset of
sure,
people to know that the reality is if we are able to develop and use our land very well and go up higher on the ground. Mind you, I'm not suggesting that it's just because of fufu that it doesn't work. That
no,
was just an aside.
no,
It's growing. But I think that time will demand it. We had a project where we had plans drawn to build 4 floors apartments in an area very close to the sea, and we did prior market surveys, and it didn't look like people were ready for that. Having said that, you have the hearts of town like Osu and East Legon where apartments are sprouting, and I think it's just going to be a matter of time, before we see these developments being spread across. You know, and TDP, for example, have come up with some developments where there are apartment buildings, and so I think it's just a matter of time. And if affordability is the key component that drives people towards owning apartments, because it might be cheaper than having houses, then it's a great start. It's a great use of land, and we can move on in the future towards using land for other things as well. Your colleague mentioned recycling. I think that as a country, we are interested in recycling. We haven't been able to do too much for it, but we are educating ourselves, and I believe that that agenda is also going to come where we're going to look at how we can incorporate recycled materials into our buildings and get people to appreciate that it's about sustaining the environment and watching our CO2 footprints and making sure that we can leave a very good legacy for the future generations to come, and we don't get greedy and overuse or destroy our environment for future generations. So it's a conversation that I know a lot of people would be very interested to see how that picks up over the next few years. But we are trying, and we think it's going to be a day at a time, as Rome was not built in a day.
I mean, you know, I really appreciate that answer to that question. And I'm happy that people like you are looking into care for the environment. I mean, I care for the environment a lot. And I know if we're able to shift our mindset, not only do we able to meet up with our deficiency in terms of property development, we're able to keep our environment clean as well. Let me quickly say this before we go. I mean, this is, I wish we had more time. Now, what do you think? What is the outlook? I mean, I'm gonna break this question down for like 2 or 3. What is the outlook for the property industry in Africa? That would be number 1. 2, a lot of people here, when we want to buy property or invest in property, we are looking at 2 things: capital growth and rental income. We know so many people are not going to move to Africa permanently, unfortunately, but they would like to invest in real estate. What is the plan? I don't know. I mean, I'm just making this general, but if your company has a plan, that would be great as well. What is the plan? If I want to, let's say I want to buy property in Ghana and I'm not going to stay in Ghana, is there a way for me to be able to generate income from that property when I'm in UK?
Like a holiday home.
Like all, different ways.
Yes.
And so what's the plan for that? Because I know a lot of people want to hear that. And then I lost my thought now. But I mean, those 2 questions, if you can, shed a little bit of light on that, that would be great.
Right. I would like to start answering that by telling you that I watched a video just last week of this British trained architect, David Ajay.
Yeah.
Who I'm sure you've heard of.
Yes.
And he was remarking on the fact that Africa is principally the last continent to develop. And so in terms of property in Africa, I think we've still got a lot of potential. We've got to identify the areas for development really urgently and have an agenda that drives a sustainable plan over time, over a realistic period of time, for us to achieve so that we can solve our housing problems. The fantastic thing about it for us is that there's still lots of green areas, lots of virgin lands that we can develop. It comes with population explosion, urban growth and development, and it comes with its associated infrastructural issues that we've got to deal with. So there's a lot of potential, and in terms of investors, I would say yes, it's a fantastic time to be thinking about investing in Africa. In terms of if you live in the UK, you're thinking of acquiring property here, which would either be your holiday home. There's
Yeah.
ways of doing it. I know people who come to Ghana maybe 2 times a year, and for the rest of the year, they are very happy to just lock up, have
Exactly.
a caretaker take care of the house, and they leave because they don't like the idea of strangers occupying their house. Having said that, I would advise those people to look at Airbnb and the achievements and the
Exactly.
possibility of making income whilst you're not there.
Exactly.
The question that you asked was regarding rental income. And I would say again, location, location, location. If you have a word with yourself before you go to buy, you should think about the purpose for your purchase. Post completion, what are you going to do? Are you just going to dangle the keys and tell everybody about a house you have that you might never spend time in? Or do you have the foresight of thinking about renting even before you buy? So again, it's due diligence. Speak to the developer. You tell them your intention is to, rent the property whilst you're not using it. So in that case, you're going to look at your location, look at commuting distance for your ideal target market. Is it going to be your mid-executives? Are you hoping that it's going to be for other UK people, US people, whoever, who might be coming on holidays and you want to rent the house for them from the UK? So I would say that you should share your plans with the developer and they can advise you. If they're very genuine, they will be able to tell you, or you should also do some more research in terms of where you're buying and then look at the distance to the financial district to see if it's a commutable distance. If you have a worker who's working in the heart of Accra and you go and buy them a house that's way out of, if you develop an area which is way out of Accra, and you think they are going to be commuting for 3 hours to get to work, we don't have the train systems yet, we don't have a tube system, we're not going to shuttle them into town that fast. So that would inform your location. So I would say that discuss the plan with your developer and you do some search to see whether the place where you're investing in is very accessible to the city for a worker who might, be taking that one as a rental. But the rental prospects are good. In terms of my company, we have houses that are available. The owners are abroad like yourself, so we manage them on their behalf. And they are able to make some income out of it. So that option is also a good one to always consider.
That's fantastic. Tonight, listeners and viewers, we've been talking to Mrs. Cynthia Opone, the Managing Director of Afariwa Estate and Construction Limited, based in Community 2 in Tema, the Harbour City.
22.
Oh,
22.
why am I saying Community 2? I can see 22 here, but I'm saying 2. I'm sorry. Forgive me. But based in Community 22 in Tema, it's a gated one of their major projects is a gated community. That's Afariwa Royal Homes, and they've been in business for I'll say a combination of 40 years. So the credibility is there. You've got security, you've got somebody that's knowledgeable, somebody that knows what you're doing, and if you're looking to purchase, go nowhere. I can guarantee you that for sure. If there's any inquiries that you want us to connect you to Mrs. Cynthia Opone or Afariwa Estate and Construction Limited, do not hesitate to call the studio lines on 0208 133 2257, 0208 133 2258. If you're calling from Canada or the USFA, is 001 718 303 2737. You can WhatsApp us on 0753966 1744, and you can email us at info@Starr Radio UK, Starr Radio UK one word.com. And if you happen to want to get a bit more information, you can also log on to www.afariwa.com. www.afariwa.com is Afariwa is AFARIWAA.com. So that you can locate them. They are just 10 minutes from the Tema motorway, 10 minutes drive from the Tema motorway runabout, and 40 minutes drive from the Kotoka International Airport. So you're not too far, they're not taking you out of town. It's very close. And tonight, I believe that it's been phenomenal. Mrs. Opuni, you're so resourceful, and I must say that you've been so very instrumental tonight, and so much information that I can tell you for a fact that I've learned a lot. I know a lot, but I've learned more, and we're grateful for you tonight.
Thank you for having me on your show.
And I believe it's not going to be the first time, though. We're gonna hang on to you.
There's so many questions actually, and we hope to have you back here to enlighten the people about buying property in Africa. Thank you very much for coming on the air.
I'm happy to help. Thank you.
And just before you go, tonight we have loads and loads of people on Facebook. Some of them questions and all that, but then we'll come to you because of time. We're running out of time. We'll come to you personally with some of their questions, but some of them you did answer that. So the Facebook viewers, please do not hesitate to contact us on the studio lines. But then tonight it's been good having Mrs. Cynthia Opuni, the MD of Afrewa Estate and Construction Limited. They're doing brilliant. I've been going through the website and also knowing her for the standard she stands for, the quality standard and the credibility they have. I'll recommend them. I don't know about you, Niyi.
Oh yeah, I will recommend them actually, because I mean it's brilliant. She really go deep into all the factors and what are things that people need to look at. Exactly. And I can see a lot of messages. Everybody saying, "Oh, well done! I'm enjoying the show tonight."
Yes,
So I will recommend them.
Same. I mean, Sonia Hart is saying, "I'm really enjoying today's show." We've got Lee Valentine, good evening to you all at the radio, and a whole lot. I can't read all of them, but then we'll say thank you so much once again. It's been good having you. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure too. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll say, God willing, we'll speak to you soon. God bless, nothing less, and blessings. All right then. So we'll speak to you pretty soon. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
All right. So therefore, Niyi, it's been a good show.
Yes.
I think it's very informative, educative. And if you're looking to buy, I'm going to get you one.
Yes, definitely. You must get me. Producer Frank have promised me one.
I'm getting you one,
so.
but I'm not buying you one. So I'll connect you to it. It's
so good.
I think last week and this week has been very phenomenal. And so it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And we'll check it from there. So next week, we're still in Africa.
Thank you.
There's good stuff in Africa.
Absolutely.
Very good stuff.
That's the next place to be.
Next place to be. So listeners, thank you for listening
thank you very
to
much.
us. This is the Property Hour show, very live on Starr Radio UK. Tune in next week at 9 p.m. Thank you.
Bye.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone,
online, on mobile, soon on DAB. This is Starr Radio UK, the leading African.
Do you feel
Arabic
left out in
radio
your education
station.
or career but still want to do something about it? Then don't fret. If you are a resident in the UK, British or EU citizen, then there is hope for you. You are in the age bracket of 21 to 55. The UK government is offering grants, scholarships, and financial support for first degree to masters in various courses. The government will pay all your fees and you can educate yourself in a peace of mind. From £21,000 per year for first degree, etc. Get in touch with GEM Educational Consultancy and we will guide you in applying for this facility. We are situated at 51 Albany Road, Hornchurch. The postcode is RM12 4AE. Telephone 079 0479 3019 or email us pastorjoeka@yahoo.com. Get financial support and acquire a degree.